Yes, sir. Mod Tricker. Back up in this thing, man. Today, I'll be reacting to some creepy videos I was not prepared for. Let's get it.
So we're all slightly concerned about tap water, but what about toilet paper? This isn't just apparently in the UK. It's across the whole world they're finding it. So toilet paper near you, watch out. It seems to come down to this one specific type of PFAS, which is called 6,2-DIPAP, which sounds like Elon Musk's new son's name or some. But it represented 91% of all the PFAS found in the toilet paper. I think the real problems, once again, occur when it comes to the environment. You know, they can't break down. You can't break these things down. They're there forever. And they get stuck in the soil, stuck in the waterways. They affect the fish, and they bioaccumulate, apparently is the technical word for it. So you know how we sort of have always seen toilet paper is relatively benign, and children are sort of wrapping themselves up on it, playing with it. But, you know, maybe it might not be so great to play with.
If there's PFAS in toilet paper, then I would assume that it's coming from the plastic packaging, because paper is supposed to be made from wood pulp unless they've been adding something a little extra into the formula. But either way, we can't have anything nice, not even Charmin.
Oh my gosh. He's talking.
I wasn't crazy.
No.
This bird is talking.
What the heck? That's crazy.
Yeah.
What else could it say?
I don't know. I don't even know
Tweet,
what he's
tweet,
saying.
tweet.
Tweet, tweet. The bird is actually...
It is talking. I swear to God.
We have video.
Listen. Oh.
He's so cute.
Is it real?
I don't know. Is it like a robot? Like, because that's a pretty good moving robot.
What?
Why?
I know there's certain species of birds like crows that are able to mimic human speech, but normally if you get this close to a bird, it will immediately fly away. So this could possibly be one of those DARPA drones we saw in the last video. I don't trust it.
In our fruit flavors, we're talking about we want, a burst in the beginning and maybe a finish that doesn't linger too much so that you want more of it.
And you don't want a long linger because you're not going to eat more of it if it lingers.
So it's going to be a quick fix, and then
Have more.
But that suggests something else,
Exactly.
which is called addiction.
Exactly.
You're trying to create an addictive taste.
That's a good word.
Or something that they want to go back for again and again.
Now it makes a lot more sense why it's so difficult to fight certain food cravings. They were specifically designed to get you hooked so you come back and buy more at the end of the day. But imagine if they spent this much effort towards making the food actually healthy for you. A thought.
That's what literally insane.
Oh my God, lose the airport. What happened?
I've seen plumbers use green dye like this to trace down any leaks in the plumbing system, but I don't think you would need to use it for a leak this big. This looks like Nickelodeon was hosting slime time at the terminal.
The atmosphere now is caused by the electricity grid, which is about 25% or so.
Exactly.
So 24%, it comes from agriculture and forestry. Why is that causing such a big increase in carbon?
Cows and other grass-eating species have a digestion system that emits methane. And methane is a very powerful greenhouse gas. And so cows alone account for about 6% of global emissions. And so we need to change cows, just cows alone.
How are we going to do that?
Well, actually, of all the categories, the one that has gone better than I would have expected 5 years ago is this work to make what's called artificial meat. And so you have people like Impossible or Beyond Meat, both of which I invested in.
You eat it as well, and you like it?
Absolutely.
You do.
You can go to Burger King and buy the Impossible Burger.
All right. Is it healthier for you or just healthier for the atmosphere?
It's slightly healthier for you in terms of less cholesterol. It's, of course, dramatic reduction in methane emissions, animal cruelty, manure management, and the pressure that meat consumption puts on land use.
I don't know if he's pushing for us to switch to artificial meat because it's better for the environment or better for his profits because he's invested in the companies that make the artificial meat. He should be at Microsoft working on a new computer, which is the only thing I'll ever take his word for.
Okay, so they're in 0G, and watch the ball just fall out of his hand.
Hurricane, and that's pretty neat to be able to see it. You can see the eye and how it's forming. But one of the things that's interesting about up here, when you see that whole hurricane, you're pretty amazed and you start taking pictures. When you see that whole hurricane, you're pretty amazed and you start taking pictures and all of that of it. But then you forget that there are people in danger down on Earth with the hurricanes and all that. So sometimes it's easy to lose perspective up here.
We're going to pretend like we didn't just see this? If you look at this and you say that he pushes the ball down, dude, you're suffering from like serious cognitive dissonance, bro. Like, be real here. This dude's in 0G. They're supposedly floating. The only reason they're able to stand there is their feet are underneath bars because they would be going up. If you don't know, they say they have these little bars for their feet on the ground, and that's what keeps them there. They'd float up. Okay, so this ball would float up if he's not holding it. They're in 0G, bro. Okay, they're in 0G, and the ball falls down. How does that work?
To me, the clear giveaway in this clip is the lady astronaut in the middle giving that subtle wave off to the astronaut at the end who's attempting to pick up the ball as to not draw more attention to the fact that it didn't fall at 0G, but it's already caught in 4K. I'm surprised that they still doing live streams. They keep exposing themselves.
So for all the people out there who don't believe in chemtrails or weather modification, I want you to head to geoengineeringmonitor.org and let me know what you think about all this. So this website has a map that you can scroll through of the entire world showing all of the projects that they have going on and all of the areas that they are spraying chemicals into your air in order to modify the weather. And if you look along the side here, that entails all different kinds of things: greenhouse gas removal, solar radiation management, weather modification. So if you see here, we've got carbon capture, direct air capture, ocean fertilization, enhanced weather, artificial upwelling. So if we go down, we got solar radiation management, cloud thinning, microbubbles and sea foams, stratospheric aerosol injection. We've got canceled, completed, ongoing. Lets you know all the projects that are going on with that right now. Weather modification, right there. We've got increased precipitation, reduced precipitation. So them just controlling rainfalls however they please. Messing with Mother Nature, that's always a good idea. And then other, my personal favorite. Algae projects, major research project, whatever that is, and other. Not disclosing what it could possibly be. But there you go. Go check it out.
With all these weather modification projects going, they still couldn't stop Hurricane Beryl from becoming the earliest Category 5 ever recorded in history. So what's the point?
That is correct. The Hunger Games sign is the same as the scouting sign. So let's do a deep dive into that, because what we're doing now is decoding signs and symbols. So this is from the Boy Scouts of America website, their official nonprofit website, and it talks about that the Freemason relationship with scouting started from the beginning in the 1800s when the Boy Scouts were founded under the name the Society of the Sons of Daniel Boone. Then it became the Boy Pioneers, and then finally the Boy Scouts. So it says the 3 fingers represents the 3 parts of the Scout Oath, and then there's also the 2-finger sign, which is the Cub Scouts, but you do it in a V, and your thumb has to cover your pinky. Usually accompanies a Scout Oath. Also found it creepy that the founder was referred to as Uncle Dan. It says here, the relationship between individual Masons and Scouting, which has existed since the founding of the Scouting in America, has resulted in great benefits for both Freemasonry and Scouting. Then, of course, I found this. Again, on the Boy Scouts of America site. So, in case there was any question, what would this be? Would this be like some kind of a feeder program? Perhaps some sort of a finders cult? Purely theory, speculation only.
It would make sense that the Freemasons would set up a feeder organization to ensure new members are more susceptible to their influence, but if you know anything about the recent Boy Scout allegations, that makes this even more creepy. Baby Ma will not be joining the Boy Scouts.
Have you heard about the 2045 Initiative, a non-profit organization with hopes of extending the human lifespan using artificial intelligence? Started by Russian billionaire Dmitry Iskov. He claims he can make all humans immortal. They have 4 major milestones in their plan. Number 1 was to create a remote control avatar. 2 was to ensure that the human brain could be transferred into that avatar at the time of a person's death. Number 3 was to ensure that consciousness and personality could be uploaded to the avatar at the time of a person. Number 4 gets rid of the physical body. They hope the human race can live on in holographic form. This is getting sci-fi. If you've seen Black Mirror, you've seen them experiment with the idea of holographic consciousness. The 2045 Initiative calls this idea cybernetic immortality. Billionaires like Jeff Bezos have funded similar ideas. Artificial humanoid avatars, brain-computer interfaces. What do you guys think about Immortal Life? Do you think that could help us get to the 5D?
It sounds like a very ambitious plan and everything, but with the current state of the world today, there's not much motivation for me to want to stick around much longer than I have to. That sounds more like a punishment.
So apparently the CEO of BlackRock thinks the idea of you and me retiring at 65 is crazy. As in the man who became a billionaire managing people's retirement accounts. And the really messed up part is the way they use our money against us, because they do something called ESG Investing, which stands for Environmental Social Governance. So if BlackRock doesn't like a company's stance on the climate, BlackRock won't invest in their stocks. And they're the largest asset manager in the world. They control $10.5 trillion in assets. And all of these big companies are in debt because falling stock prices could be devastating. And this stuff is like the mob, because they partner with the Human Rights Campaign, who gives all of these companies a corporate equality index score. It's essentially a social credit score for corporations.
Larry Fink got one thing correct. Retirement at age 65 does sound crazy. It should be more like age 55 or 45. If you leave it up to him, he'll have us working until we're 102.
Well, let's see how long it takes you to find me. Thank you very much. Let's go.
可以追溯到说，出现每一张脸都可以对应说他的身份证，以及他所经过，比方说在过去1周，我们回溯他的行经路程，我们也做了像人和车的匹配。那同时在人上匹配还包括亲属关系匹配，然后是你经常接触人员之间匹配。就是当摄像机布到或者我们传感器布到一定密度的时候，其实我们会经常知道你跟谁经常在一起。
Well, here we are then. I just got out of the car close to the city centre, and for the purposes of this exercise, the plan is for me to start walking in the direction of the bus station. My image has already been flagged to the authorities as a suspect, and in theory, it should only be a matter of time.
也没有公布以后，哎，对，就是不对，就是不对。不是反对吧？对，就是不对。
Uh-oh. Right behind me, you can see just over my left shoulder there. Hello, guys.
With you.
I've been expecting you. Maybe these guys aren't in on the joke.
I doubt this would work as well in almost any other country, especially America. The majority of those cameras would have already been spray painted over and the system overloaded with how many people it would flag. But they should have told the police they were running this test. He was about to get slide tackled.
This is so weird. The Göbekli Tepe. There's new stuff coming out from that.
What?
So this guy who was on the Joe Rogan podcast, he's just like, isn't it kind of weird that this site was discovered in the 90s, but yet we've only dug up 5%. He did some digging. Guess who owns the Göbekli Tepe?
I bet BlackRock.
George Bush. MySpace Tom.
Was I right?
No.
Oh.
The World Economic Forum. The weirdos that say that you will own nothing and be happy. These guys that are like dictating everything about our world, they own Göbekli Tepe. And they said we will not excavate it anymore because we want to leave it for future generations.
That makes no sense.
We could find out so much more about the people or things that built this site. I really do feel like this site had something to do with the Watchers. What are they hiding? Do they know something about it that they're just like, we can't expose this because could it give proof to all this ancient knowledge that would validate scripture maybe, you know? And what this guy said is Our government will never acknowledge what they can't control.
I'm confused how the World Economic Forum even came about owning an ancient archaeological site like this, but that's the telltale sign that they're hiding something.
The 2024 Paris Olympics mascots are Illuminate confirmed. Here's why. The new mascots, called Fearges, are actually caps that go back to the cult of Mithras in Rome. This was a sun-worshipping mystery cult derived from the Persian Zoroastrians. They had initiation degrees, secret handshakes, and vows of silence, so basically the archetype for secret societies and the Illuminati. Mithras was depicted wearing the red Frisian cap and slaying a bull. If you dig deep into this topic, there's a claim that Mithras is actually devil worship when he is worshipped at night. I also covered 3 podcasts in 2020 detailing the occult symbolism of Raised by Wolves, which is based on the same Mithraic mysteries, symbolism of destroying our world in order to rebuild it. Now, officially, the caps represent liberty and freedom, symbolizing the French Revolution, but even that's Illuminate confirmed because there's theories that the Bavarian Illuminati orchestrated that event. The truth is that symbols hold energy and speak to us on a subconscious level. When you look at the hidden occult symbolism of the Fearges cap, you end up finding direct links to sun worship and alchemy through Hermeticism, which is based on contact with an alien god named Hermes or Thoth.
If this is true, then the opening ceremony for this year's Olympics is going to be very interesting, and he might be right because a Farage hat has nothing to do with an athletic competition. They could at least chose something a little more French like a beret.
Did anyone else find the invitations to the all-white party extremely weird? This is the highest profile party in the world called the All-White Party. It's hosted by billionaire Michael Rubin, and it happens every year on the 4th of July. But there was something about the invitations that just didn't sit right with me. This one is Tom Brady's, this one right here is Drake's, and this is Quavo's. You can see all of the celebrities' invitations if you just look them up, but if you pause and look at the artwork, there's some weird stuff going on. These invitations were done by George Condo. This is a very popular artist, and some of his artwork goes for millions of dollars, and he gave each celebrity their own unique invitation. And I looked up some of his artwork, and he has a lot of interesting stuff, including when he collabed with Kanye West for one of his album covers. He drew him up a bunch of artwork. Yeah, I mean, it speaks for itself. A lot of people question what actually goes down during this party, especially after they saw what Michael Rubin made Meek Mill do, jumping around like a bunny because he supposedly lost a bet. And then in the private jet, when Lil Baby and Meek Mill were saying that they were going to get drunken hugs if they don't behave at the party.
I don't care what anyone says. You're getting a drunken hug. You too. You two, drunken hugs are coming tonight.
Now, all seeing eye symbolism on the invitations tells me that this might be an Illuminati event. Michael Rubin must have learned how to throw parties from P. Diddy. If I ever see this on the flight, I'm immediately getting off the plane. This looks like Boeing's signature craftsmanship.
All right, this is a very cool story. The Department of Defense Agency is developing new technology that is inspired by lizards.
Yes, indeed. Digital producer Alexander Bahu is here to explain what it is and how it could protect our troops.
You know what? Move over, Spider-Man. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, also known as DARPA, has created devices that will have humans climbing like geckos. DARPA launched the Z-Man program to develop a better way for warfighters to scale buildings and other obstacles. Researchers on the project were concerned ropes and ladders were dangerous and impractical while carrying heavy loads. That's why DARPA developed handheld biologically inspired climbing aids. They use micro and nano fabrication technologies to produce an aid similar to that of a gecko toe, but for humans. DARPA has tested out the reversible adhesives with a 218-pound climber ascending and descending on glass, while also carrying a 50-pound load. DARPA says these aids can have biomedical, industrial, and consumer applications as well.
I doubt these were actually created for human warfighters because ropes and ladders might be the least dangerous thing that a soldier encounters on the battlefield, but I can see these being outfitted on an AI humanoid robot.
Genetically engineered potatoes and apples already on the market. They use this double-stranded RNA produced by the inserted gene, and it silences the gene that causes those to brown if sliced. So you have the Botox apple, lies about its age, doesn't turn brown, so it could be 18 days old, 20 days old, cut, and you can eat it, and you won't know that it's old. When you eat that apple, the double-stranded RNA that's built into the apple could reprogram and silence our own genes. We know what happens interspecies. In fact, they fed a double-stranded RNA meal to young honeybees in larval stage and then checked their DNA expression twice late in 2 different periods a few weeks later. They were expecting nothing to happen because they wanted this particular double-stranded RNA to be the control. 1,400 genes changed expression. 1,400, 10% of the genome were different in the group that was fed one meal. You can feed double-stranded RNA to mice and change something in their liver. We know that it can affect humans. In fact, how we know that the that the RNA in general from the plants that we eat can help program the DNA expression, and it's part of the intelligence transfer between the food we eat and our own genetic expression.
GMO fruits and vegetables have been around for such a long time that most of us have probably already consumed our fair share of it, so I wonder how much damage has already been done.
No!
Oh my
Please.
goodness.
I don't want to see it.
Wow.
Oh. I want to throw up. Go show it to him.
Well, sweetie, they just need to know where they got it from.
That's huge. That's an abnormally large.
The best way to tell that your salad wasn't produced with any pesticides is when there's a grasshopper the size of Jiminy the Cricket in it.
Think about Pluto. So the planet Pluto is not named after the dog, even though the dog and the planet were named like
the same time,
like the same year, which is weird. But isn't it funny how nobody thinks it's weird that Walt Disney named a dog after the ferry boat guy to hell or to death? I mean, that's what Pluto is. I mean, he basically is like Hades. Like, he takes the soul to hell, to the underworld. And so that's what the dog's name. What else is that cat in Cinderella is named Lucifer?
Lucifer! Let him go, Lucifer!
Oh, yeah.
That's weird. Just think about the Smurfs. So you have Gargamel, which sounds an awful like Gadriel. And what's his cat's name? Azrael.
Cat's name is Azrael in that?
Yeah, his cat's name is Azrael.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Gargamel and Azrael.
Oh my gosh, and the Smurfs?
That sounds an awful lot like Gadriel and Azazel.
What? I never even put that together. That's interesting.
I'm pretty sure Walt Disney was a Freemason, so it makes sense, but putting it in a cartoon made for kids is just sinister. It's still not as bad as the original cover art for The Little Mermaid, though.
The processed food industry was created by the cigarette industry. People don't know this, but in 1990, the three largest processed food companies were cigarette companies: Philip Morris, R.J. Reynolds, and others. Still to this day, Philip Morris owns Kraft. Most of the companies were spun out in the 1990s, but cigarette companies literally took their scientists, as cigarette companies were declining, and put them over to food companies to make the food more addictive. And all those thousands of ingredients that we have in our food are made to addict our children. It's hijacking our biology and our understanding of like what we're eating. You don't binge on natural food because our bodies are made over thousands of years to be with this food. Yeah. But processed food is not natural. It's hijacking our biology.
I would have hoped that the FDA or some other governing body would have prevented them from owning a food company, because of course they're going to carry over the same methodology from the cigarettes. It's a winning formula for them. I'm surprised they haven't made menthol mac and cheese.
You're going to want to hear this. Don't you think it's odd that Alaska is part of the United States of America? The real reason is far darker and more complex than you have been led to believe. Deep within Alaska, there is a black pyramid, an ancient structure that is buried beneath the ground, emitting powerful energy. In 1992, an earthquake in China revealed this pyramid near Mount McKinley. This discovery was picked up by spy satellites, revealing its location to external nations. Indigenous Alaskan tribes also speak of a powerful sacred structure which fits the exact same description as the structure captured on the satellite. But it gets even crazier. According to ancient scripts, the Black Pyramid is part of a global network of ancient energy generators. These pyramids were scattered around the world by a civilization that used to walk with the gods. The purpose was to harness and distribute energy across the world. The same network includes the Great Pyramid of Giza. Since the founding of the United States, extra effort was placed into colonizing Alaska with the aim to reverse engineer the pyramid's technology for modern use.
I was always led to believe that we acquired Alaska purely for strategic military purposes, but gatekeeping ancient relics and knowledge that could change our understanding of history is right up our alley, so I can see it.
Brain and jar biocomputers are now real, and they can learn to control robotics. This literal brain in a petri dish was able to control the toy robot mech that it was hooked up to, which is just wild to me. So what you're looking at in this slightly gross image is actually an organoid. It's an incomplete organ, but can still perform the functions of an organ, and it is grown in a lab, and the brain cells are actually embedded in it. I believe the organoid's purpose is to insulate or protect the brain cells in some way, and the brain cells are hooked up to this sensor mechanism. You can even see the ribbon right there, And if I scroll down, at the bottom, we have the sensor hooked up to the human brain cells that are inside of the organoid. So when they fire, these sensors register and the robot walks around. Now what's crazy about this is they actually weren't just doing that one purpose. They were sort of put in there generally, and as a neural network, we're trained in a way very similar to how we train neural network AIs to do this task. I do feel like this one on the end that has the enclosed helmet that isn't just going to dry out is doing better, but this is just absolutely wild that we have created a miniature artificial brain that can at least drive around that mech, which is nutty. You might have seen the guy who could play Pong with the brain implant. And scientists are saying that this shows more intuition, insight, and creativity to how our brains work than traditional AI. They think this is actually going to replace what we traditionally know of AI, and they say it might be better because it uses less electricity, but wetware components have to be kept alive. And letting these things sit out and dry isn't going to do that. So there's a whole different set of technical problems to solve to keep the wetware components alive and functioning. And even in a ideal scenario, I doubt that they are immortal.
It's starting to feel like scientists are racing to replace humans with AI by giving it human organs. This reminds me of Dementor from Turbo Man.
ES's carbon taxes already cover about 25% of global emissions, right? We should actually look at scaling this, right, to cover all 100% of carbon emissions. And beyond carbon, let's think about other aspects of nature that are easier to quantify. We probably will not be able to quantify everything on day one, but what about water, right? That's also quite possible for us to start integrating systematically into current trading carbon pricing mechanisms.
I already feel like they're going overboard with the carbon tax. So if they start taxing water, it's only a matter of time until they figure out how to meter the air you breathe and tax you for that too.
People are starting to think our Joe Biden isn't the original Joe Biden. All the way from people saying his eye color changed, that it used to be brown. They're also saying that the bottom of his earlobes used to be detached, but now they're attached to his face.
Needed any more evidence than what you see now. So I think you needed any more evidence than what you see now.
Also, people are pointing out how he used to be right-handed, but now he's left? But what do you think? Is Joe Biden just getting old? Or do you think Joe Biden has had many stand-ins or possibly what some people are saying, clone?
I honestly think he's just really old, but he does kind of move like one of those Boston Dynamics robots, so we can't rule out that option either.
Adobe, huge company, updated its terms of services, and it is very spyware heavy, which forces Photoshop and Substance 3D users to provide the company unlimited access to their projects. And that is only the tip of the iceberg. The Adobe controversy gets even worse. Adobe says they own what you make. It's not just privacy issues. If you use Adobe software to create works, Adobe claims to have a license to everything you make to use as they see fit. They can even sell it to someone else if they wish. Sublicense. It's the 4.2 licenses to your content is the big talking point here. Creators like Sasha are canceling their Adobe license after many years as a customer. To make matters worse, people are canceling and Adobe's charging that. This user, which got 21,000 likes, Adobe just charged me a $80 fee to cancel a student subscription. I haven't had time to use it for my visual poetry project in 2 years, but I kept it just in case I did. I'm so angry at these companies and their scam subscription models, their AI entitlements. Now, although Adobe can take somebody's project and sell it, that's not what they want to do. What they actually want to do is a little bit worse. They want to start using everybody's projects and Photoshops and Illustrator, whatnot, to train their AI. This AI will eventually do what the current workers are doing, but better, faster, and for less of a price. So that would essentially make these people who are using the Adobe products for their jobs and whatnot useless. So essentially, Adobe is using people who are paying for their product to train a device that is going to theoretically replace them. This is the conundrum we're living in right now, and it's not good.
Here's my thing. If they're charging their users a monthly subscription and then using that data to train an AI, it's only fair that they distribute a royalty check back to the users from any profits made from the AI, but I doubt that'll ever happen.
Look at this. I'm right in the middle of a twister.
This is exactly how I would imagine a tornado from The Wizard of Oz would look if Dorothy was from Texas and not Kansas, but instead of ruby red slippers, they would be ruby red cowboy boots. But that was the video, guys. Don't forget to sub up, hit that notification bell, and I'll catch you in the next one.